Good morning. Welcome to Unitarian Universalist Church West. We gather this morning to celebrate Samhain, a holiday which honors the earth's sacred cycle of life, death, and regeneration. Samhain marks the final harvest and the beginning of a new year in the ancient Celtic tradition. I am Reverend Suzelle Lynch, one of the ministers of this congregation, and the pronouns that I use are she and hers. If this is your first time among us, we are very glad that you are here. If you enter our virtual worship space or our outdoor worship viewing space as a homecoming, it's a pleasure to greet you this morning as well. We cherish the presence of every person who is here with us. We cherish your presence, whether you're here with us today or any other day. If you are new, we encourage you to take a moment to send an email to visitor@uucw.org if you would like more information. Again, that address is visitor@uucw.org.
My name is Stephanie Whalen, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. It's good to be here with you and our EarthSpirit team, which is dedicated to sharing teachings that help us honor the earth and live in harmony with nature. Some of you probably clicked on the link in Thursday's e-news and downloaded our Samhain celebration guide. You don't need it for the service today, but you might enjoy reading through it and following the suggestions it contains this evening as a way to honor this beautiful holiday more fully. But for now, I invite you to bring your energies and your memories to this shared community of hope and wholeness as we create a sacred circle by calling the directions and kindling the flame in our chalice.
We begin in the east with the rising sun and the element of air. East is the direction of inspiration, the mind, knowledge, learning, and curiosity. Air and breath give us life. Imagine birds turning and wheeling in the sky. Imagine the breeze blowing through your hair and across your skin. Spirits of the East, we call you now, and we ask you to be with us here.
We move to the south, to noontime and the element of fire. South is the direction of passion, of action that gets our blood pumping and our hearts thumping. Fire is a transformative force. It is heat and light and powerful change. Imagine butterflies and whales migrating, seeking warmer places as the weather gets cold. Imagine the sun's brightness warming your skin. Spirits of the South, we call you now and ask you to be with us here.
And now we arrive in the west with the setting sun and the element of water. West is the direction of self-reflection and self-understanding. Water flows like our emotions move within us, sometimes slow with serenity, sometimes turbulent with anger, sometimes torrential with grief. Imagine yourself in a boat, riding the current or paddling against it. Imagine the raindrops refreshing your skin. Spirits of the West, we call you now and ask you to be here with us.
And now we move to the north with the midnight hour and the element of earth. North is the direction of deep wisdom. Earth holds us, allows us time and space to heal and grow, to feel nurtured and respected. It is our physical bodies, the ground of our being, connecting with deep structures, our very bones, which come from the minerals of earth. Imagine holding a sturdy stone in your hand, its cool sides smooth against your skin, against your cheek. Spirits of the north, we call you now and ask you to be here with us.
And finally, we arrive at the center, in the time that is timeless, the present moment, the eternal moment, and the element of ether. Center is the axis mundi, the line between heaven and earth. Ether is the ethereal. It connects the beyond, the mystery, and the plane of our lived experience. Imagine yourselves standing tall on this good planet, energy tingling up and down your spine as earth and sky share their gifts with one another through you. Spirits of the center, we call you now and ask you to be here with us now.
Join with us now in a chant to finalize and solidify our circle. The words of this song are earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. And each one has a motion that goes with it. Earth my body, you slap your thighs. Water my blood is like a fish in the water. Air my breath, it's like this, woo! And fire my spirit, you strike a spark, and the spirit rises. So we'll just keep repeating this song until we feel the circle growing solid and real and supporting us in our work this morning. When you hear us begin to slow down, that's when you'll know the song is coming to an end. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath, and fire my spirit.
We all know the story of the jack-o'-lantern, right? Well, did you know the term jack-o'-lantern was first applied not to pumpkins, but to people? Way back in the year 1663, Nearly 360 years ago, Jack-o'-lantern meant a man with a lantern, our night watchman, Jack of the Lantern. Back in those long ago days, there were no electric lights, no battery-powered flashlights, no solar lights. So at night, people lit candles and placed them in lanterns to guide their way. But also during those olden days, people began to use the name jack-o'-lantern for the mysterious lights that are sometimes seen at night in swamps and marshes and bogs. These ghostly lights were also called hobby lanterns, fairy lights, will-o'-the-wisp, hinky punks, and fool's fire. What were these lights? Why would they mysteriously appear in a swamp? Well, in the swamp, as dead plants decomposed, they create gases like methane, flammable gases. And sometimes that methane would ignite accidentally, making an eerie-looking light in the middle of nowhere. For centuries, before people knew the scientific explanation, people told stories to explain the mysterious lights. Today's story about the lights comes from Ireland. Once upon a time, a long, long ago time, there was a very bad man named Jack. Jack drank too much whiskey and borrowed too much money from his friends, and he never paid them back. And he did, so many other bad things as well. But Jack was clever. He was as smart as he was bad. He was so smart, so crafty, no one could ever catch him and make him pay for all the bad things that he did. Well, one day as Jack was walking out on a country road, he ran into, you guessed it, the devil. The devil knew that Jack was a bad man, and he was going to take Jack's soul right then. But Jack thought quickly, and he said, Wait, Mr. Devil. Before you take my soul, before I go with you, will you get me an apple from that tree? The devil, thinking he had nothing to lose, jumped up into the apple tree. Then clever Jack pulled out his knife and carved some sacred symbols in the trunk of the tree. Those symbols trapped the devil up in the tree. Oh, the devil was so mad. But he couldn't move or do anything else unless Jack covered up those symbols. So Jack made the devil promise that he would never, ever take Jack's soul. And when the devil agreed, Jack covered up the sacred symbols, and the devil escaped, poof, into thin air. Many years later, when Jack finally died, he couldn't get into heaven because of his life of drinking and lying and stealing from his friends. So instead, he went to hell. But the devil, you remember, had promised that he would never, ever take Jack's soul. Where can I go? Asked Jack. Go back where you came from, replied the devil. The way back was windy and dark and cold. Jack begged the devil to at least provide him a light to find his way. When the devil threw him a burning stick straight from the fires of hell, Jack put that burning stick into a hollowed out turnip, like this one. There were no pumpkins at that time. That became his guiding lantern. Jack was doomed to wander in the darkness, and perhaps he's still out there. Jack-o'-lantern, wandering on these dark autumn nights, trying to find his way home. At SOW-en, the jack-o'-lantern is used to scare away evil spirits and to welcome the good ancestor spirits into our circle. And now our song to send our children to their religious education classes with love. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go.
Let us enter more deeply into the spirit of Samhain now. Like our ancient human ancestors, we understand that our lives are interwoven with the seasons and cycles of nature. We know that we belong to the earth.
The lives of our ancestors moved according to the seasons of planting, growing, and harvesting their crops. For them, time was circular. It was a cycle of life, death, and regeneration, guided by the earth, the moon, and the sun. The festivals they held at important times during the year honored their gods and raised the energy needed to keep the circles and cycles moving as they should. Our ancestors were partners with the great forces of the cosmos.
Samhain was their new year. It marked the threshold into winter, the beginning of the year's dark half. It was the time of year when shepherds and cattle herders would bring down from summer pastures to shelter in the stable for winter. Some animals were slaughtered and their meat preserved for the leaner months to come. Death was a natural part of the season, symbolized by the reaper of the grain and the falling leaves.
We're told that at Samhain, the veil that shields the world of the living from the world of the dead becomes thin, and that spirits could cross over into the world of the living. People would set extra places at the table and set out food from the recent harvest to encourage the spirits of their loved ones to join them at the feast. And of course, they set out jack-o'-lanterns carved with scary faces to frighten unwelcome spirits away.
When Christianity rose in the British Isles in Europe centuries ago, the church tried to banish Samhain by overlaying it with the holiday of Hallowe'en, also known as All Saints' Day. The following day became All Souls' Day, when prayers were to be offered for the souls of the departed, especially those who were waiting in purgatory before they could get into heaven. Some say that our modern custom of trick-or-treating derives from that old British custom of going from house to house, offering to pray for the souls of the household's dead, help them get out of purgatory and into heaven. The price of the prayer was called a soul cake.
Samhain was not only a time of feasting and remembrance, it was also a time of preparation as the darker, colder half of the year was beginning. These preparations were life and death matters in those times. Life and death not only for one's own family, but also for the entire village or clan.
But the darkness itself was not something to be feared. The darkness might hold signs and predictions about the future, and the ancestor spirits might hint at what was to come. Samhain was, and still is, a time to set intentions, a time to imagine possibilities, and a time of new beginnings.
I've seen the bones them passing by. I've joined them in my dreams and soared on wind and moonbeams. Bury me in soft ground. Lay my body gently down and bid me sweet goodbye. But you don't have to cry. I'll be there in a windstorm. I'll be there in some other form. But no, I won't be gone, 'cause being alive means moving on. Bury me in soft ground. Lay my body gently down and bid me sweet goodbye. But you don't have to cry. No, you don't have to cry. Just bid me sweet goodbye.
When I was a child, Halloween, the popular culture version of Samhain, was a time when my sisters and I relished the opportunity to take on strange new identities and roam the neighborhood in the mysterious darkness, demanding candy at every doorstep. When I learned as an adult that the ancients believed Samhain marked the time when the veil between the land of the living and the land of the dead grows thin, I understood. Because every time we honor Samhain, I think of my best friend, Maxine Fisher. Like the ancient Celts reaching out to their beloved dead, I long to touch Maxine through the imaginary whisper-thin veil that separates her world from mine. I long to hear her voice, to tell her how much I love her, and to thank her for everything I learned from her. It's natural, it's a human impulse, the desire to speak to those we have lost and to listen to them well. I'll never forget the phone call Maxine made to me in early February of 1999 after she'd gone to the hospital for some tests for what her doctor thought was a routine vision problem. My phone rang, and when I picked it up, Maxine cried, "Suzelle, Suzelle, they won't let me go home. They say I have a brain tumor and they need to do surgery right now. Please come. Can you come?" I dropped whatever I was doing and jumped in my car, and I went to be with Maxine, to hold her and to comfort her and to cry with her. Because the news for Max became only worse and worse. She had cancer of a most virulent kind, growing rapidly in the part of her brain related to seeing and speaking and thinking. And she was a thinker, and she was only 51 years old. With the support of family and friends and coworkers, Maxine pursued every possible treatment, conventional and unconventional, medical treatments, spiritual treatments, but the cancer would not be turned back. She died 8 months later. Maxine was so dear to me. She was an unusual person, interested in esoteric spiritual stuff and odd herbal remedies and complicated public policy issues. For many, many years, we shared all of life's questions and a few of its answers. We traveled together, we supported each other through many sorrows and celebrations. We loved each other. At the time of her cancer diagnosis, I was full of new life. I was pregnant. And Maxine was so much looking forward to being an auntie to my baby because she herself was childless. The loss of her was a painful one. But so many of us have felt painful losses of people we love. Some of us much more recently than I lost my Maxine. It hurts, and we long to bring them back. But instead, we must embark on the journey of grieving. As we travel grief's road, we lament. We are sad. But if we continue to remember and honor our lost ones, the loss we feel starts to shift. It transforms. It transforms into a love not that is coming toward us from outside ourselves, but a love that fills us up from within. Samhain, as we observe it in our UU Church West community, is a ritual that helps facilitate that transformation from outer love to inner love. It's a ritual to help us honor and remember our lost loved ones. It's a time to pause amid life's relentless flow and let our aching hearts find solace. It's a ritual to help our losses, help us carry them more gracefully. There's no magic that can bring our dead back to life, but our love and our work and our willingness to accompany each other on the journey of grieving bring new life to us all the time. And when we've lost a loved one in this strange time of the pandemic, the Samhain ritual of remembrance can be especially helpful. As the wheel of the year turns this season, we turn along with it. Our ancestors would have us remember that we're part of nature, we're not separate from the earth. They would encourage us to hold fast to the light within us that shines even when the shadows around us are deep. And they would invite us to remember that the journey into the darkness is not something to fear, for they are with us every step of the way. So let us now take a few moments in meditation to invite our ancestors to be more present with us.
Let us join our hearts and minds now for a time of guided meditation. I invite you to follow the sound of my voice as I lead you on a journey. During our journey, I will ask you to imagine some things, but please know it is all right if no images come to your mind. It is also fine to simply sit quietly instead of actively participating in the meditation. As you are able, please make your body comfortable. It might help to uncross your arms and legs. Relax your shoulders. As you settle in, sense the good earth beneath you, supporting you. Breathe in gently and release your breath. And then again. You can close your eyes if you like and feel the quiet calm that surrounds you, remembering the warmth of the people who are sharing this meditation with you across the airwaves and here. Breathe in and release. Now, imagine you are walking through the arc of time. You are heading back through the reaches of the ages, back through recorded history, back to the time before the Romans fought and fell, back to the time before city, republic, and empire, and back further still, back to and through the time when the fertile lands between the Euphrates and the Tigris were cultivated, and cultures vast and rich sprang up. And back before the taming of the wild horses, before the land bridge to the Americas was crossed. Back to the savannas of Africa 200,000 years ago. And now, paused on the edge of time, together, we call to our ancestors. Hear the call in your heart and mine as you listen to my voice. O beloved, beautiful, and wise ancestors, ancestors whose DNA is in our very bones. We call to you, and we invite you to be with us and breathe with us, inhaling and exhaling the same air you once breathed when you were alive. We call to you and we invite you to breathe with us in these bodies made from the same star stuff your bodies were. Oh, ancestor spirits, the leaves are falling now, and the crops will soon go brown. The land will become dormant as the days grow colder and the nights longer. As we prepare to enter the dark time, we ask, will you walk with us until the sun returns? Will you help us take care of our families and our communities? Will you remind us of the intentions and the promises we have made. We pause for a moment to listen to your wisdom. O ancestors, we thank you for your minds bright and shining, your clever words, your hands that worked just as our hands work today. We thank you for your gifts and for your survival. And we thank you for your presence and your guidance this day. And we promise to turn our hearts and our hands to serve those who need us as winter's dark and cold draws in. We promise as well to take up the vision and values that you have passed on to us. And now, O ancestors, we must return to the land of the living. We must take our leave from you and move forward through time, quietly, gently, and with purpose, reversing our steps on the journey, moving gently. And now, we arrive at today, this Samhain day. We arrive in the sacred circle of friends, neighbors, and friends yet to be. Quietly as we breathe, we open our eyes. Shalom, blessed be, and Ashe.
Old Abram Brown is dead and gone, you'll never see him more. He used to wear a long brown coat that buttoned down before. Old Abram Brown is dead and gone, you'll never see him more. He used to wear a dead and gone, you'll never see him more. He used to wear a dead and coat that buttoned down before. He used to wear a dead and gone, you'll never see him more. He used to wear a long brown coat that buttoned down before. Old Abram Brown is dead and gone, you'll never see him more. You'll never see his brown coat that buttoned down before. He never see his brown coat that buttoned down before. He never see his brown coat that buttoned down before. He never see him more. He used to wear a long brown coat that buttoned down before. Old Abram Brown is dead and gone,
When our ancestors set extra places at the table this time of year, food from recent rich harvest was set out to feed the spirits of any loved ones who had passed away. Earlier, those of you who are with us online saw the table we set here in the sanctuary for the spirits of our beloved dead. And if you're with us outdoors today, you'll see there's a table for the spirits set up there too. In the downloadable resource guide, there are instructions on how you might set up a small ancestors altar or table setting at home. The first part of our ritual of remembrance is an opportunity to honor someone you care about who has died, or an ancestor, by offering them your words of remembrance. The second part of the ritual, which will come later, is a time to ask the ancestors for their guidance.
First, if you're here in person, I invite you to pull out the little strip of paper and the pencil that came with your order of service. It's printed with pictures of fruit and vegetables and bread and goodies for today's Feast of Remembrance. If you don't have that slip of paper, you can use any paper that you do have. In a moment, we're going to take a few moments in silence to think of someone we care about who has passed away. This could be a friend or family member, or perhaps even someone you did not know personally, but are choosing to remember today because they inspire you. But first, please listen carefully to these instructions.
As you meditate on that person, think about a message or a blessing you would like to deliver to them. It could be, I miss you, or simple, thank you. You could think of something you loved about that person, or perhaps the legacy that they left you that you were trying your best to carry on in the world. Then take your slip of feast paper, write that person's name and the message or the blessing on the back of it, and then fold it in any way you want, focusing your love for that person or the people that you're writing to.
In just a moment, you'll hear beautiful handpan music from Christy Vosberg and Sarah Fry. During the music, we invite those who are here in person to take your folded feast papers to the altar table and place them on one of the plates. As you do this, think deeply of the person you are remembering. After you place your feast paper on one of the plates, please take one of the sealed envelopes from one of the baskets on the table and return to your seat. But please don't open the envelope yet. Simply hold the envelope and imagine what it may hold for you. If you're at home, please take your folded slip of paper and place it somewhere in your home that feels safe and sacred to you. Now please enjoy this beautiful original composition from Sarah and Christy as you finish writing, and bring your feast papers to the altar table.
Thank you, Christy and Sarah, for that beautiful, beautiful music. Samhain is a transformational period between light and dark. It's that window of connection between life and death. And at this time of year, as we noted, that window is opening, the veil is thinning, offering us a channel of communication at this moment when our intuition may be at its strongest. It's a perfect time to ask for guidance from the ancestors, or simply to request guidance from our inner selves.
Poet John O'Donohue once wrote, "Our friends among the dead now live where time and space transfigured. They behold us now in ways they never could have when they lived with us on earth. Because they live near the source of the destiny, their blessings for us are accurate and penetrating, offering a divine illumination not available according to the calculations of this given visible world."
And so we now invite you to consider any questions you might have or any guidance you'd like your ancestors to offer you. Perhaps a question such as, what do I need to do about this particular concern in my life? Or what can you tell me about my current course of action regarding this particular part of my life? Or it could be something as simple as, what guidance do you have for me, oh ancestors? So take just a moment now to think of your question. What's your question for the ancestors? We're now going to allow our ancestors to answer us with the help of our EarthSpirit oracle cards.
Some of us probably think that consulting oracle cards is silly. My answer to that, it is not silly, but it is trans-rational. It is a playful practice that has a basis in serious psychological research. Oracle cards work on the principle that our subconscious minds hold the wisdom we need. Our deep inner knowing, however, isn't always easily accessible to our conscious minds, perhaps especially in the times of stress or change. The words and the symbols on our EarthSpirit oracle cards were chosen to help draw your inner wisdom to the surface. And who knows, perhaps the great cloud of our ancestors who surround us today chose exactly the right card for each of us.
The sealed envelopes that those of us who are here in person picked up from our altar table each contain an oracle card. If you're outside, and you didn't pick up an oracle card from the table out there, you can do that now if you would like. And in a moment, we will reveal the way that those of you who are on the live stream can consult the oracles to seek guidance as well. So remember the question I asked you to think of a moment ago, something like, what do I need to do about my particular concern? Or what guidance do you have for me, oh ancestors? So at this moment, hold your question in your mind, and then open your oracle card envelope and see what guidance is there for you. Okay, so Marilyn and I have opened our oracle cards here. Do you want to say something about yours and maybe You don't have to reveal your question if you don't want to, but what does it mean to you? What does it say?
My card says shadows. Every light makes shadows. The darkness is a restful place. Take time to be quiet. And I have been asking for guidance in a certain situation on how best to proceed. So this is telling me exactly what I need to do to get to that point.
And my question, I was struggling to come up with a question. What should my question be? And my question for the ancestors was, how will it all unfold? Or how is it unfolding? And I got the card that says, far. My card says, you have many more miles to travel on your journey. Remember, each one brings its own reward. Isn't that perfect? It's absolutely perfect.
It is.
The ancestors have spoken. So now I'm going to show you, if you don't have an envelope, we're going to demonstrate our online EarthSpirit Oracle Wheel. You can see here on the screen, this is our online EarthSpirit Oracle Wheel. There's it's bit.ly Spirit Spin. And we'll post this to our Facebook page as well. So all you have to do is go there and it says click to spin. And the wheel spins. What is your question? And a card will come up. And here is the moon card that says, reflecting others' light is another way you can shine. So if you're with us online, that may be your card, or it may be that you go to Spirit Spin and with your deep question. Remember that this Oracle Wheel remains online and will always be there for you to consult whenever you may need guidance.
Because our ancient ancestors honored the earth that gave them life and provided everything they needed for survival, no ritual could be complete without some kind of offering or sacrifice. We offered a feast of our love and remembrance to our ancestors today, but we also invite you to give something of your life energy to our congregation.
UU Church West's Split the Plate program is one of outreach and generosity. Each month, we give half of all undesignated offerings to a nonprofit organization to help us live out our Unitarian Universalist values and serve our community. Our Split the Plate partner for October is the Peace Learning Center of Milwaukee. The Peace Learning Center provides workshops to Milwaukee area school and community groups serving youth, teens, and their adult staff. The workshops teach participants to practice and use healthy communication and nonviolent conflict resolution to manage conflict in their daily lives. When students have the skills to communicate productively and diffuse conflict peacefully, valuable school time once spent on classroom management can be spent on teaching and learning. The center's workshops lay the foundation that influences not only the classroom culture, but also extends to improved communication in families and neighborhoods, The ripple effect is powerful. To support the Peace Learning Center anytime this month, go to the UUCW website's Donate tab and select Split the Plate from the menu provided. For more information about the Peace Learning Center, visit their website at www.plcmke.org. For more information about Split the Plate, contact Kathy Herwig.
Thank you for many of the ways you give to support UUCW. Your financial gifts and offerings of energy and commitment are what make our community strong. And now, our work here is coming to an end. We have done our best to remember and honor our beloved dead. And we have helped our sacred earth move into its next phase. And so let us thank the team of people who helped create our worship service today. UUCW Choir, led by Ruben Priranen, Colleen Gresk, Terry Conert, Vicki Brostrom, Pat Walsh, Gina Barton, Carol Sewell, Susan Endis, Haley German Fisher, Jim Fisher, and Susan Endis. And our wonderful Board of Trustees representative, Stephanie Wallen. The EarthSpirit team, Maria Varela, David Stokes, Melissa Taylor, Sean Fanning, Melissa Musante, Marilyn Kupka, Stephen White, Eddie Daniel, and Reverend Suzelle. And the UUCW staff who do all this fabulous work, Kelly Bognar, our fabulous publications coordinator, Vicki Banville, who does wonderful things outside, and sound, of course, Miles Bognar. Thank you.
We also thank the ancestors and the spirits, and we bid them farewell as we release the powers who have come to help us this day. Spirits of the north, powers of earth, we thank you for your steady help and your grounded presence, and we release you from this circle.
Spirits of the west, powers of water, we thank you for your flowing help and your initiatory presence, and we release you from this circle.
Spirits of the South, powers of fire, we thank you for your passionate help and your warm presence, and we release you from this circle.
Spirits of the East, powers of air, we thank you for your inspiring help and your cool, breezy presence, and we release you from this circle.
Spirits of the center, essence within all things, we thank you for your light of your help and your omnipresence, and we release you from this circle.
In earth-centered religions, there's an understanding that the earth and the elements are alive, and that the energy drawn upon in ritual is alive as well. When a circle like ours comes to an end, it is therefore respectful of that energy and aliveness to return it to the earth so that it can be used for growth or healing or in other ways. Today, we will ground the energy of our time together by stomping our feet as we sing a familiar chant, Air I am, water I am, fire, earth, and spirit I am. So rise in body or in spirit now and join with me in this closing song. Air I am, water I am, fire, earth, and spirit I am. Air I am, water I am, fire, earth, and spirit I am. Air I am, water I am, fire, earth, and spirit I am. Air I am, water I am, fire, earth, and spirit I am. Air I am, water I am, fire, earth, and spirit I am. Air I am, water I am, fire, earth, and spirit I am.